Hey everyone, Zane here. So yesterday I did a review of Monday Night Raw, the first Raw after the draft. So in the interest of fairness, I've decided to review the first Smackdown after the draft. Would Smackdown be able to live up to Raw's lofty standards from this past week? Short answer, no. Long answer, oh well, no. That isn't to say there isn't anything to talk about from last night's SmackDown. There were a few newsworthy things. First of all, like Raw, they have a bit of a different look, a different set, they have a different intro, they have the blue ropes. Actually, in the intro, if you look closely, you can spot the fist. No fist on the set this time around, but they do have it in the opening video. One thing I noticed was the camera work was a bit different too. Now, if you watched Raw, they started doing these big sweeping crane shots throughout the whole arena. On SmackDown, they did these more medium shots with a crane on the ring from left to right going back and forth. They did that pretty consistently throughout the show. I like it when WWE tries new camera tricks in their presentation. Not so much the snap zooms for every spot they ever do, but this was cool, and it's really growing on me. I kind of like what they did there. The opening segment, Shane and Daniel Bryan addressing the SmackDown roster, announcing there's going to be a six-pack challenge to determine the #1 contender for Dean Ambrose's WWE Championship. And they had the first five there, including Bray Wyatt, who just kind of was there, and he walked into the ring when they announced his name. It kind of killed his mystique, in my opinion, but then again, his booking for the last 2 years already took care of that. Then they had a sixth spot available, and that was going to be determined in a Battle Royal. And watching that Battle Royal, it really exposed just how badly SmackDown got screwed in the draft. When you take away the five other people from the six-pack challenge and you just had what was left in the Battle Royal, kind of slim pickings. I mean, Kane, for some reason, was the most dominant person in the Battle Royal in 2016. All right. Anyway, Apollo Crews went on to win the Battle Royal and go on to the main event. The very next match was a Becky Lynch-Natalya rematch from Battleground. So weird when we're talking about this new era, and one of the first things we see is a rehash of something we just saw. Of course, after the match where Becky gets her win back because 50-50 booking, then all the other women of SmackDown come out and deliver very stilted promos, except for Eva Marie, who just shows up and just shows off her breasts. And still she got booed. That's amazing. There was a Miz TV segment in which Randy Orton interrupted and delivered another promo. I don't know if Orton doesn't care anymore or management doesn't care anymore, because it was just another one of those promos where it's like, that's not PG, man. The whole pitching and catching thing, I thought was pretty funny, and the crowd popped huge for it. The match itself that they had, it was pretty one-sided. I thought the shoulder selling that Orton did at first was legit, but then I realized, oh, he's just used to selling his shoulder for real a lot, so he knows what to do. And so it was all just selling and leading into the RKO. Very great way to build up one of the two only champions you have on your brand. The main event was a six-pack challenge for the #1 contendership, and it was one of those matches they have where you just cycle a bunch of people in and out, like 2 to 3 people do their stuff in the ring, while the other 2 to 3 people sell for a while, and they just tag in and out, essentially, doing their spots, getting their stuff in. And in a finish that I never would have seen coming on multiple levels, Dolph Ziggler won with a super kick. That was amazing. Just a couple days ago, after I mentioned how the super kick's been ruined in my Battleground review, the super kick, maybe it means something now because Dolph Ziggler won with it. I don't know. But Ziggler was literally the last person I would have expected to win that match. He's out of Baron Corbin purgatory. I would have expected Corbin to win over Ziggler, honestly. But Ziggler is now going to be facing Ambrose at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship, and he's got to go down in history as one of the least convincing #1 contenders of all time. For a guy who's been jobbed out so consistently over the last year and a half plus, it's just, is anyone going to take him seriously? I just don't get it. For a show in which Shane and Daniel Bryan have said that this show is going to focus on the wrestling, I feel like we didn't see a lot of wrestling on this show. I felt it was kind of a promo and commercial bonanza with some occasional wrestling matches thrown in. But speaking of promos, there were a few good ones out there in this show. As far as pre-tape promos, they hyped up American Alpha, gave you good background on who they were. They promoted Shelton Benjamin is going to be returning to SmackDown very soon, which I think a lot of people were seeing that coming. People were in the news, the rumor mill was that Shelton Benjamin was going to get re-signed, which is great. He was always a great hand before, and he's still performing at a high level on the indies and stuff. But it's just another one of those things where it's like new era and Shelton Benjamin, they kind of clash. It's a clashing ideologies. I don't understand that per se, but I think he will be a good hand on SmackDown. And speaking of promos, Heath Slater truly had like the best promo of his career last night as he was in the ring and asking to be signed onto SmackDown, and then he had the back and forth with Shane. He was going down his career highlights and stuff. The one-man band, he got such a big pop. It was really cool. And then at the end of it, he got gored by Rhino, who is back on SmackDown. Shelton Benjamin and Rhino on SmackDown. What year is it? So in summation, Raw had two great Fatal 4-Way matches, a killer main event between Finn Balor and Roman Reigns, a fantastic Women's Championship match that saw Sasha Banks win the championship, not to mention the news of the Universal Championship being introduced. And in comparison, SmackDown had Shelton Benjamin and Rhino, and Dolph Ziggler winning with a super kick. Now, Raw has an extra hour of programming. They got a larger roster with more star power, so that is a good explanation as to why Raw was a superior show this week. But you would hope that SmackDown, knowing what they were up against, would have done something to try and counteract or match what Raw had done the night before. But they really didn't do that, and it's kind of a setback. When you consider how much Battleground and Raw really helped kind of reinforce the whole new era philosophy, other than Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, SmackDown last night didn't really do that. You had news of Shelton Benjamin, and you had Rhino, and you had Randy Orton squashing The Miz, and you had Kane being so dominant in the Battle Royal. It was just very weird, questionable booking. And the repetition, the 50-50 booking that we've seen time and time again with Becky Lynch and Natalya. You're telling me out of all the people you had on that show, you couldn't have a different match, a different women's match? It was unfortunate. It was a setback for SmackDown. Hopefully they can recover. The real onus on Raw is for them to maintain what they did on Monday, and the onus now is on SmackDown to improve what they did on Tuesday. So we'll have to see what happens. Let me know what you thought about SmackDown in the comments section below and what you think they can do to improve upon their situation. Be sure to thumbs up this video if you like it, subscribe to Wrestling with Regret, and buy the t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.